Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Slimming Surgeon podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Kandace Kichler. Today, I have a rare treat for you. No guest. So it's just me. I'm going to talk and I'm going to provide you with some life advice. So recently, I was approached by a friend to kind of mentor her in her career pathway. And really what the whole conversation boiled down to was how to nail an interview. So I've done, I don't even know, millions, I feel like, interviews throughout my lifetime from, high school, college, medical school, residency, fellowship, and then jobs. So I kind of have a little bit of experience and I have kind of figured out what works and what can set you apart from every single other candidate. So let's get going. The first piece of advice I give you, and this is kind of like a pre-interview assessment that you need to do, is to evaluate your social media. So Google yourself, look online and see what the person who's interviewing you can see. Like maybe you even go and clear your search history so it's not showing you what is filtered specifically for you. But Google yourself, look at your social media pages, go back a ways because people are going to you may have some serious stalkers on your hand and they may look back years into your social media. And if there's something embarrassing, if there's something outrageous, completely inappropriate that you may have done, in a past life, you can clear that before the interview. Again, the internet can be permanent. So they may still be able to find things like this, but you can do yourself a good service to evaluate your social media ahead of time. The next important tip in kind of navigating literally to the interview is to know where you're going. If you've never been to this location before, if it's in a town or a city that you're unfamiliar with, map it out. Map it out ahead of time. Use Google Maps or the maps on your iPhone. Set the day, the time that you plan to be there. That way, hopefully traffic can be taken into account, and make sure that you get there early. I mean, these are just logistical things, but they make a huge difference because if you're 5, 10, 15 minutes late for an interview, you pretty much already nailed the coffin shut. So look into where the interview is, get yourself familiar. If you're there ahead of time, or if you live locally to the place where you're interviewing, do like a test drive by on a similar day, a similar time of day. That way, and you're a little bit less stressed on the day that you're actually going there. Next step or next piece of advice is to mind your appearance. So obviously, this is something that women probably have to think about more often than men. But you do have to, take into consideration, should I wear my hair X, Y, or Z way? You want it to be done, but you don't want to be too done. How much makeup should you be wearing? What kind of clothes are you going to wear to the interview? And I would say if you have the ability, look at what the staff that currently work there, what they generally wear. So if you're going to a place that's super glam, you may want to feel, or you may feel comfortable stepping it up a notch and really just looking like your best self. But if it's a place that's very conservative or very, kept a certain way, then you may want to fit into that mold per se for the interview, at least until they get to know you better. And then you're able to more express yourself. So definitely mind your appearance. I would say every interview I've done, I've always kind of downplayed my makeup because I wear pretty dramatic makeup. I wear my hair pretty basic. I don't wear it in a ponytail because that's just not me. And I feel uncomfortable wearing my hair in a ponytail. But, certain makeup, mild colors, nothing like bright pink lipstick, wearing your hair nicely. I don't recommend overly flashy jewelry because it will definitely offend someone. And then something that someone else actually mentioned to me one time is you might even want to be careful, what kind of things you wear as far as brands, labels, emblems, any type of significant something that would catch someone's eye, because the goal is not to catch their eye with what you're wearing or your appearance, but more so to catch their attention with your personality and your resume. So mind your appearance. After that, this is like a pro tip, and something that I really feel like helped me on so many interviews. It's get prepared about the who. So who is interviewing you? If you have the ability to know who's interviewing you ahead of time, research them, stalk them, know what they like, know where they live, know what jobs they've held, like anything that you can find out about that person, the more you know, the better. I've been on so many interviews where I've interviewed, of course, with, doctors, other physicians, and if you just do a quick search where they went to school, and more than likely you will find something in common that you can then talk about and that you can connect with. So really research the people who are researching you and that you're going to be interviewing with. Side story, I actually interviewed at Harvard for one of my fellowship positions. And it was like in a span of like a 4-day, 4 interviews in a row, 4 different cities trail of my interview trail. And it was the 4th day. I was so exhausted. I prepared myself for like 3 or 4 of the people who I thought were going to be interviewing me. And when I walked into one of the rooms, it was a male and a female. And the male goes, "Oh, Kandace, this is Dr. So-and-so. I'm sure you know about her because you guys have something in common." My heart just like sunk because I had not prepared for that specific person. I had no idea who she was. And she happened to be like from Alabama, which is really rare for 2 people from Alabama, like the country, to meet at Harvard. So take it from me, do your due diligence, research as many people as you can ahead of time. That way you don't end up in situations like that. Because had I just looked maybe 3 or 4 people beyond the first few that I looked up, I would have known about this woman, known that she was from Alabama, and immediately been able to connect those dots. So back to my list. After you know about who's interviewing you, make sure you remind yourself about who you are. So this is a big mistake that a lot of people make, because I've also interviewed people throughout my lifetime, for residency, for medical student positions, things like that, different clubs and organizations. And if you don't know what's on your own resume, you look really stupid when someone asks you a question from it. For example, and this is the most classic example, if you do a research project with someone about mice, know what you did, like know the subject, know what the outcome was, know how it's relevant to life and what about that project interests you. Even if it was not at all interesting, you need to have some kind of talking point around that piece of information that you provided on your resume to these people. So know all about yourself, know exactly what information you've given them, in addition to what you find out that they can find out about you on the internet. Moving along, once you're also in the real interview, it's so important to be normal. Make eye contact, say hello, open the door for other people, be polite. Don't just be this frigid robot who can't communicate, looks down, doesn't make eye contact with anyone, and who's just weird. I mean, some of you listening may be weird. I doubt it though, because you wouldn't be listening to my podcast if you were. But let your real personality exist. You don't have to be this frigid, cold, Barbie doll situation. Just be a real person, be nice, and that'll get you so far, because there are so many other people who can't do that. And with that, you definitely want to say thank you to everyone. So when you leave the interview, shake hands, make eye contact, say thank you, acknowledge that you'd like follow-up. I'm so happy to have been here. Thank you for this opportunity. Looking forward to talking to you again in the future. And with that, thank you. Make sure you follow up after the interview. So that's a huge thing that I really feel like in addition to the research and things that I've done to prepare for interviews, I think it sealed the deal. Anytime I sent a thank you, I send a thank you to pretty much everyone for any type of interview or gift that I'm given, because it's, like a Southern thing, and you just should do that to be a nice person. But if you are trying to get a position and you're competing with 10 other people and you're the only one who said thank you, that speaks volumes, and they're going to remember that. And don't just say thank you to the person that interviewed you. Say thank you to the coordinator or the secretary who arranged the meeting, who took time to make sure that everything was set up and prepared for you to be there and to have that conversation in that interview. I think that makes a huge difference, because guess what? At the end of the day, the person who's organizing the CEO's schedule has a lot of input, and they can flag your resume. They can, nudge it towards the top, and you want to make sure that you're friends and friendly and thankful and grateful with every single person, not just the person at the head of the table. And you want to do this quickly. Like, I'm talking within 24 hours, because someone else may do it faster. You don't know when the decision-making meeting, if that happens, is going to happen. It may be the night that you have your interview. So the sooner you follow up with gratitude and specific instances of why you felt that the interview went well, or what you can bring to the table, or why you enjoy that place, that facility, that program, whatever, the sooner you do that, the better. It's not too stalkerish. It's not too weird. Like, people appreciate that. And then the last tip that I'll kind of leave you with is, all of this is really about mindset. If you go into an interview with negative thoughts, with, I don't deserve this, I'm obviously not qualified for this position, I don't fit this mold, this is not where I'm supposed to be, things like that, then it's not going to happen for you. You need to get your mind right. You need to realize that you were given this interview opportunity for a reason. And if it's meant to be and something that you want, it will happen, like, period. No negotiation, no doubts, no second guessing. You're there for a reason. You're going to shine like a star above every single other candidate, and they're going to love you the most. Like, that's what I tell myself, and it's worked wonderfully through the years. So really get your mindset right, and just, think back on that. Meditate, regroup beforehand, give yourself 5 minutes in the car, which is also why it's important to show up early, to just go through thoughts like that. Like, I'm meant to be here. This is a place for me. This interview is going to go amazing, and it will. And it'll also give you a few minutes to just calm your nerves beforehand. And then finally, I'll leave you with a little quote. Your legacy is a function of how you make people feel. So remember that. Remember to be nice to people. Remember to say thank you, to be grateful, gracious, and kind to everyone that you come in contact with, especially if you're trying to nail this interview. Thanks, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Again, this was a rare solo episode, but hopefully you take away some good tips from this. Send it to people who who are going out into the workforce, interviewing for jobs, interviewing for fellowship, residency, whatever it may be, and share this podcast. And if you really love it, leave me a 5-star review. Thanks again.